Welcome to Women Who Brand, a podcast that spotlights inspiring women in the creative industry. Women Who Brand are creative, strategic, and visionary forces in the world of marketing. They make an impact in both the role and the industry as a whole. Whether through campaigns, storytelling, or experiences, they shape how people perceive, interact with, and remembers a brand. I'm Alejandra Salazar, founder and CEO of CROING, which is part of the 0.1% of creative agencies founded by a woman. And I'll be your host today. This podcast is part of an initiative of CROING to inspire women in the industry by sharing the journeys and insights of those who are leading the way. In this episode, we will talk with Daisha Roberts, the Director of Programming at ADWEEK. This conversation is the right one for anyone who loves experiential marketing. Daisha has built her career around it and is constantly thinking about how to create events that bring the coolest things we see in other forms of marketing to life. Daisha is an advocate for herself, for women, and for diverse communities, and therefore I admire her. She talked about the importance of trusting our instincts and speaking up even when we are the only one in the room with that vision. She is a door opener for women, a fashion visionary, and a natural-born creator of experiences. Listening to this episode is an experience in itself, so don't miss it, and welcome our next woman who brands, Daisha Roberts.
Yay, thank you so much,
Hi,
Alejandra.
love.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us, my love. For those who don't know Daisha, she is the Director of Programming at ADWEEK. She leads the development and execution of innovative and special events and programming that showcase the latest trends and insights in marketing, culture, fashion, beauty, and beyond. Daisha and I met last year at Brand Week. I was a speaker at the event in 2023, which I always recommend our community to attend because really those events are full of insights, are full of valuable connections that this one that we have here. So Daisha and I are both advocates for giving visibility to women and to our communities. And that's why I believe we have such an special connection. So are you ready to start, love?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Makes me happy. So, Daisha, tell me, what led you to pursue a career in marketing?
Yeah, so a year or so after college, my dream was always to move to New York and to work in fashion. And so my background is strategic communications, which I always say is a fancy name for PR. And so from there, I decided to go to New York, venture out to grad school. I went to LIM College in Manhattan, and my master's degree is in fashion marketing. So yeah, so going to grad school, the whole goal was to marry the two, right? PR and marketing. I interned at a PR agency the summer prior, and the true Sagittarius in me, I kind of do things spontaneously.
Love it.
Came back to Georgia and I told my mom, I'm moving to New York without a plan. The plan was, grad school that gave me a dorm to stay in, and that was enough for me. And so I quickly moved to New York about 2016. The program was a year long. Once I graduated, throughout my time at grad school, I had wonderful internships, Christian Siriano, some other PR agencies. And so I was able to get my footing really into the fashion world. And so I just realized like I had a natural knack for talent, influencer. Of course,
Love it.
all of that is like building. I feel like we're living in a real case study. But I just knew that I loved events. I loved working backstage. I had worked a couple of seasons of Fashion Week and some presentations with Kamora Lee Simmons at the time when she had her KLA
Yeah.
brand. And so I just was able to position myself in a very interesting portion
Mhm.
or sector of the industry that at the time I didn't realize that it was truly like I knew it was a form of marketing, but I didn't know how to really express it.
Got it.
And it wasn't until recently that I'm like, oh, okay, I really, fall under the category of like a strategist. But, it took all of these different experiences and just really me being passionate about different things and wanting to really carve my own lane. That's really how I fell, into PR and marketing.
Love it. Such a nice story. I love your background. And when you said like you make the decision of moving to New York, like that is similar to me and funny because I used to live in LA and
Yeah.
then I came here for an event an Adweek. So it
Oh,
was like 3 days in JFK in the
yeah.
hotel. So I was there and I was like, while I was in the event, I had like a couple of meetings here in New York and I was walking in the street, I remember, and I'm like, why I'm living in LA? I need to move to New York. And I call my mom. I'm like, I'm moving to New York. And my mom is like, ah, okay, next year? No, no, in 2 weeks. And I call
Right
my and I call my boyfriend and I'm like, look, I'm moving to New York. If you wanna come, you can come. And he's like, yes, we can talk about it. No, it's in 2 weeks. And he's like, well, okay, I guess we're moving to New York. So, and we moved here. Like my car came from LA to New York,
So
and here
funny.
I am.
Yes,
So funny.
I love that story. And to me, I think sometimes taking those chances on yourselves, like it's a big risk, but it was
Yeah.
also a really big reward. I really
Yeah.
attribute a lot of my success and the things I've been able to do because of New
Of
York. So
course, of
I'm really
course, of
glad
course.
I made that decision.
Love it. Okay, so I want to know more about how do you feel right now about your current role?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because programming is different
Mm-hmm.
depending on the outlet. So I always tell folks that, programming looks different at ADWEEK and looks different at GQ and looks different at Conde. Like, it just depends on what, that programming person is working on. The great thing about me and my background is that because I've worked in what they're calling now like special projects, I have a
Mm-hmm.
background that's partnerships, production, event production, and then of course the influencer and talent piece. So I've been able to really marry all of those passions and things together through this role, not necessarily on my job description, but because of my background, and it's just so important to me to just further that extension. So I think we even talked about when we first met, like how do we go beyond the stage? How do
Exactly.
I get you into rooms or on podcasts via Adweek or editorial, and we really leverage our communities and we leverage our relationships to really build beyond. And so I think that's the beauty of my role. And also being at the director level, I'm able to really
Exactly.
that, a bit more and
Yeah.
advocate for folks a little more. When you're junior, you can
Yeah.
you can, but it's a little tougher and people might not take you as serious and you're like trying to knock down the door.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like now I've arrived a bit. And so
Love that.
able to really curate what I would like to see, not only on the stage, but beyond. And then also just continue to curate my career and what programming looks like to me and how I hope in the future, it really looks like too for others coming behind me.
I feel the way you express it is so connected to what you're really looking for internally, like personally. And I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to work because we spend a lot of hours working. And I feel having the opportunity to, because sometimes the work is not necessarily related to your personal search, but you
Mhm.
can always make it like that. There is always room for us to take our job and make it more aligned to our values. 100%. I agree. Love it.
Yeah.
So, as you said, you're in charge of programming at Adweek. So my question is, when a new idea, speaker, panel, anything comes to your mind, how do you know when that idea is good? Do you have a specific process or is more of a feeling?
I think for me, everything is a feeling. I'm like super intentional. Even as spontaneous as I am, it's a lot of intention behind it. I really live by a slogan that Solange once said, like, do nothing without intention. And I've really held that close to me because every move I've made, I've tried to be as intentional. Of course, we don't know if we're making the right choice, right? But I've tried to just lean into, well, this makes me feel good. Or, like, for instance, with this role, it's not necessarily in fashion, but I'm able to bring in a piece of fashion and the things that I love
Love it.
and, value. So it's always a feeling. And I think it's magical when I'm on a call with someone and they're pitching something and I get goosebumps and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. We just
Oh,
all have the moment together. That's when I know that it's
I love
that
it.
it's going to be just as magical on stage as it is that, how we're talking about it. So,
I love that. Such a beautiful process. I love how you're describing everything in your word. I'm like, do I want to do that?
that's so funny. I think it's
So
just like
sweet.
the like I said, it's the fire, it's the passion, the Sagittarius in me, but everything that I do, like I can't do things that I just don't feel connected to.
Of
But
course.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So, Deisha, I know you mentioned that now that you are on a director level, it's became a little bit easier for you to, set
Mhm.
your opinion or make some decisions in
Yeah.
comparison that when you were junior. But my question in general is, How do you ensure that your voice and creative ideas are heard? Because I know for some of our audiences, regardless of whether are junior or directors, there
Mhm.
is always this like, how can I make my voice heard? I know my idea is good. I know I have this feeling, but what has been for you the process or the way to actually make others listen?
Yeah, I think it's so I should say that it's always hard, right? Like, being a woman of color, and then, just being a woman in general, sometimes we just, we have to fight a little bit more,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But advocacy, I always tell folks, advocate for yourself. If you have an idea, stand on the idea. You have the idea for a reason. And all you have to do is prove that your idea is good. So sometimes, even at work now, some folks might not see what I see in a specific talent, but we get them on stage and they blow it out the water. And I'm like, see, told you. But
Love that.
sometimes it's just like taking a chance. And I think sometimes with working, and it's okay, we all work differently. They just stick to kind of what they know or what they're used to. And that's okay. You have to be unapologetic and unafraid to really shake the table a bit. And I think with working, I've been able to find my voice, like probably I've been working 10 years now, and probably within the last 3 to 4, I finally found it.
Wow.
And I'm not standing down anymore. And so I just stick to that.
Love
It's
it.
a
Love it.
journey. I should say that because I get this question often. I'm like, no, I wasn't this way when I was an intern or a coordinator. I was shy. I didn't have any boundaries. I worked all night. No, I could not speak up for myself to save my life, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have great mentors that, again, they advocated for me in the workplace and just in general, and they taught me different tools and skills. And so now I really hold true to those.
Love
So
it.
I tell people that all the time, like, if you can find a good mentor, someone you can really vent to or, talk to, and someone that can just help you kind of navigate these corporate waters, it's helpful.
Love that. That's super important. And I mean, I didn't have this question planned, but how do you find a mentor? Because I feel for people, we listen a lot like, oh, get a mentor. But I know people is
Yeah.
okay, how, where, you know?
Yeah, so my mentors luckily came from previous jobs.
Yeah.
And so we just were so connected that even if either one of us left, we stayed connected.
Got it. That.
So that was good. But I will say, I am currently a mentor for organization called Envision. So there's different programs, right? And so
There
my
are.
mentee, she's an aspiring lawyer who loves marketing. So we're trying to shape what that looks like for her. um,
Love it.
in high school. And so I believe all of the mentees are like 16 to maybe 24. So there's different programs. I just tell folks, it's unfortunate. I come from one of those communities where some resources are not talked about as much, right? But
Yeah.
now we have Google, we have TikTok, we have these things. Like I say do your due diligence and like search, for different programs.
Yes.
I know obviously folks might be a little aged out of that 16 to 24 range, but there's still other programs for folks that are maybe early to mid-career and they're looking for mentors as well. So it's just doing a lot
100%.
of research.
Yeah, actually, I'm an advisor for Women at NYC, which is a program here in New York that is powered by the New York City Development. And it's amazing because it's like at any age, you are trying to go from the corporate to become an entrepreneur or vice versa. It's pretty cool. And they have a lot of mentors. They have been doing this for 2 years already. And yes, as you said, there are spaces where you can, and people is building more and more of these spaces for talented people to join and to get advisors. But I wanted to know like your
Yeah.
experience and advice for them. So thank you for sharing. Now let's move a little bit in marketing waters. What
Yeah.
is the trend that excites you the most right now and why?
Well, I will say staying true to who I am. I love all things experiential and experiences. I absolutely love sensory marketing. I think we see it done very well through Jacquemus and just all of their marketing efforts. But I'm such prior to this conversation, I was just telling my friend, I'm so visual. Sometimes it's just too much, but I'm a very visual person, and I being able to like sensory, like for it to touch on your senses and the nostalgia. I absolutely love that as well that folks are doing, and I always talk about Jacquemus in different forums because I just think that what they're doing is so cool, and what they've been able to create has been a bit different than what we've seen prior, but even like their oversized marketing tool.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, like how fun would it be to see the purse rolling down the street? Like I wish I was in, I think that was in London or Paris, but I wish I could have
Yes.
seen it for myself. But I think that that's cool. And then, like I said, experiential activations, pop-ups are my thing. I've, of course, curated a bunch in the past, and I just love to see them. And I love, all my friends that work on these activations and on these experiential moments and how they're pushing the needle and really moving
Yes.
forward to create experiences that are out of the box. That's what I really
100%.
like.
Love it, love it. And actually, we will have a quick fire round, and I asked a little bit about pop-ups. So
Yeah.
funny you
Oh, I'm
mentioned.
excited.
And I'm so obsessed with these trends that you mentioned. We are actually recording a campaign right now, shooting one that is like with big elements,
Yeah.
gigantic things, because it's really
Mhm.
cool
Yeah.
how, the eye goes there. And I see, like, I get your intention of how nice would it be to bring those things that we are seeing in the traditional advertising to the
Right.
experiential and vice versa. So let's now imagine you are a brand. I
Yeah.
think you answered a part of this question already, which is the slogan, but if you
Yeah.
are a brand, what would your slogan and brand colors be?
So I'm actually working on a brand. So the slogan of that brand is Don the Style, Unite in Community. And I think that's me. That's totally me. It's style, it's community, it's conversations, it's a little spice there. And the colors it would be the colors that I'm actually using for the brand, which is I'm from Georgia, so we have this thing that we call Georgia clay, and it's this beautiful orange, red, reddish brown. It would be your yellows for the sun and blues for the water. I'm a Southern girl, so I
Love
I
it.
love all of that, the trees and the dirt and a little bit of beach, but
Love
that's
that.
what it would feel like. Just elevated luxury. What does luxury look like for us as millennials and Gen Z and just a community.
Love it. Congrats on that. Can't wait to
Thank
know
you.
more.
Yes, thank you.
Love it, love it. So now in this section of the podcast, we talk about specific campaigns that our guest is doing or something specific about their job. So I have here, what do you think people and brands are looking for, and what do you think we will be seeing in events?
Yeah, well, I think from the conference sector, folks are
Uh-huh.
tired of traditional conferences, right? Like,
100%.
of course, it's always great to listen to thought leaders and folks in the space that's really moving and shaking, but how do we stir that up a bit? So the thing that I love that we're working on at ADWEEK is called our ADWEEK House, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
pop-up that travels, have a group chat format, and it's more of folks in conversation with each other. It's more roundtable meeting of the mind style. And I think that that's what people want. I think people want to see these non-traditional forms of programming and these non-traditional forms of panels and things of that nature, and also in unexpected places. I
Yes.
absolutely love when, someone takes over like a museum or Kerwin Frost. He always
Mm-hmm.
podcast interviews and like out of the box places. So one time he was like on a jet. And, I just love things that are a little bit quirky and, things that you wouldn't have thought of, but it's cool and it's almost like exclusive. And if you know, you know. And I think that that's, what people want to see. But also in the state of the world, I think people want to find communities they can really tap into, whether it's women or it's people of color or LGBT. Like everyone wants to be a part of a community and they want to feel seen, they want to feel heard. And I think it's so important representation and visibility, despite some of the things that we've been seeing. But I
Yeah.
definitely see that as being more of a trend moving forward.
I couldn't agree more. And I have to say that at Week House, for example, in Cannes, the programming, the experience you get, like I was there, and it was like I wanted to go there every time because the speakers were great. The environment was great. You can talk. You guys had the podcast station. You felt part of what
Yeah.
was going on there. And I think that's super important. And it's of course different when you go to, see a keynote, which is, as you said, valuable. But I'm definitely loving the ADWEEK houses. It's so
Yeah.
good. It works perfect. You even have that in your other events. Like Brandwick has their own
Yes.
ADWEEK house.
Yes.
That's super cool. Love it.
Yes, I was just about to ask you, did you get to see any of the programming in Adweek House at Brand Week? Because that was
Yes.
special
So
too.
good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was there and also at Cannes in both. And super special. I actually, in the AdWeek one, I met Bobby, all their team.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
Obsessed with
Oh,
them,
lovely. Oh my
what they
God.
are doing.
Love them. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Taylor, this from the Singware,
Yes.
perfect. No,
Yes.
no, no. It
Oh
was
my.
programming Blue Bottle, which I'm obsessed
Yes.
with. I was there. Yes, I remember. Even A1A.
Yeah, it was so good. And so we had some of those brands were in our breakthrough brand experience,
Yes,
which are more emerging brands.
exactly.
Another form of programming that I'm super excited and passionate about. And then our Adweek House programming that, we got to have a little bit of fun there, but it was more intimate and it
Exactly.
was actually in a house and it was just so great. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. That's music to my
Yeah, of course. No, no, it was, and not only me, I heard great things about it. I know people liked it, enjoyed it. So, yes, congrats on that. So,
Thank
thank you for sharing more.
you.
And now we're moving to the third section of the podcast, which is a quick fire round.
Okay.
So, I will ask you a few questions. You say whatever comes to your mind. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Awesome. So, promoting a brand in a commercial spot or at event?
Event.
Pop up or traditional event?
Pop up.
Who creates the brand? The audience or the company teams?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Mhm.
I would say the audience.
Awesome. So, speaker in a main stage or more personalized conversations?
Personalized conversations.
I know. And last one, the event date or the pre-production?
Oh, that's a hard one too. You know what? I'm gonna go with the event day.
Okay.
Production
Love
is
it.
also, it's a lot of beauty in the pre-pro, but to see it come to life, I think is the cherry on
The
top.
biggest, yes, yes. Love it. Thank you for sharing this. So, to end this podcast, my love, I will ask you two more questions. What does it mean to you to be a woman who brands? And what advice would you give to a woman in the creative industry?
Yeah. So to me, to be a woman who brands is being someone who is a fierce advocate for themselves. Someone that understands that their personal brand is just as important as the brand or corporation, that they work for. And, it's just someone that is unapologetically them. They stand on their values and community and, they're not afraid to take chances or like I like to say, shake the table a bit. And, they are, again, just fierce advocates for not only themselves, but their community, people that look like them and maybe who don't look like them. They value people and in connections and relationships. And so I would give women in the creative space some advice. It would just be to be that, to be you, to be authentic, to be unapologetic, to not be afraid to knock down doors and to not be afraid to be the only one in the room who is knocking down doors and to not dim your light. I say that often. Sometimes we know so much and we don't want to be the only one in the room that knows a lot, but that's okay. I think that there's opportunity to learn across the board, whether it's from the intern to the CEO, and so you're never too big to learn. And so I think your ideas are just as valuable, even if you're a coordinator or if you're a director. So don't be afraid to voice them.
Love it, love it. Thank you, Daisha, for sharing all of this. I enjoy it a lot. I know our listeners and readers will join as well. So thank you for joining me. And to all women who brand, listening or reading, remember, as Daisha said, your voice matter and your creativity has the power to inspire and lead. Until next time, ciao.
Awesome. Thank you.